You're listening to a Faith Matters podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the second part of our show, which is Becoming Unoffendable. And you can find all of Denise's blogs on her website, denise.nz, or you can look her up on Facebook, Denise
J. Gardner.
Becoming Unoffendable, which we are doing is a lifetime journey, eh, Denise?
Sure is. The thing with becoming is that it continues. It's a journey. When you talk, I have become, it's past tense, but becoming is an ongoing walk.
That's a relief, Denise.
Well, I mean, yeah.
We want to keep walking
nice
this
to
out
arrive?
I make mistakes all the time, becoming unoffendable. Okay, what does that look like in this moment, you know? How am I going to walk that out? I think this is a real treasure trove of information that Denise writes up every week for us to, think about, sit in the moment with and unpack, and what does it mean for you. And this week her blog is called Be the Lighthouse, and she has a beautiful picture up there, of course, of a lighthouse. And I guess a lighthouse is something that we see that gives us, an indication of danger ahead if we're out on the water, or maybe if we're walking around the rocks. It tells us that something is there that is going to perhaps potentially cause us danger if we get much closer.
Yeah, or it warns us. If we're on the water, it would.
Yeah.
Sometimes people walk up to lighthouses just to be in awe, because you stand at the bottom of that thing and you look up and it's just like, wow.
I've never actually seen a lighthouse, Denise. I'm missing out.
You haven't been up close?
I haven't.
Oh, you are. It's quite... They're quite
impressive.
They're quite humbling. Like, you really do feel, I mean, it's a little bit like looking out at the stars or out at the ocean. You sort of you get a sense of your smallness.
So walk us into your blog this week and tell us what was the theme that you had wrapped around this.
Yeah, well, I actually if you go and find the blog, I actually got inspired right back in our holiday. I saw a reel online by a guy called JJ Douglas, and it just really captured me. I don't think I'd come across any of his stuff before, but he just spoke about his own journey and chasing people, trying to help them constantly, and overreaching, overextending, all the things that he was doing. And then he talked about stopping, and he talked about it as the lighthouse principle. And I found that I've just sort of pondered it over the last couple of months, and I just knew that at some point I wanted to share it with my readers when I got that far. And so that's what I had in mind. So I just kind of pondered things like, for example, if you were the rescue boat, and so I do try and differentiate between, in my blog, search and rescue people, who are actually trained and they have the gear and they have a backup system. So somebody who's doing search and rescue, or they're on the Coast Guard, they're part of a team. They do patrol the area, but like if a storm comes in, they will get calls for help and they know where they need to focus their attention. And so they're there and they give their all, but when they tag out and they go home, there's other people who are on call or on duty. And so it's not all on them to be everything to every person out on the water. Also, there's one thing I wrote in there about if you're a rescue boat and you're not trained, you don't really have much sphere of influence. But when I was thinking about it, if a search and rescue actual trained boat goes out, they have got the sphere of influence. They've got the contacts to be able to call and get help in and all sorts of things. So they can certainly put the word out there. But as Joe Blogg's average person rowing around in your dinghy, if you are chasing everyone you see on the water to try and help them and save them from potential dangers, maybe even they don't even realise yet that these things could be there, and you're just running around like a headless chicken or rowing around like a headless chicken, you're going to run yourself ragged.
Well, I've got a little story that's quite recent, Denise. It kind of feels like that. I went to Australia. My sister booked us a trip over, and we went to see the Phantom of the Opera, which was incredible, and I had an incredible time. And on our flight home, when you come off the the plane and you go to grab your luggage.
Yes.
And I thought I was being a good girl. Like, here we go. I saw this older lady, older than me, Denise. Okay.
No judgment.
And I could see her eyeing up this suitcase, right? And I knew she was going to struggle to get it off. And so she kind of reached for it. So I reached for it and grabbed it for her and got it off the roundabout thing. And then she looked at me. She must have been foreigner, you know. She didn't speak English. She goes, no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, it's not her suitcase. So I put it back, right? And she goes, yeah, that's right. And she's eyeing up another suitcase that comes around. So I go to grab that one too, right? And she goes, no, no, no. You know what? I felt like, okay, I'm giving up here. I am not looking for this woman's suitcase any longer. And I moved away. I just concentrated on my own suitcase. But there you go. I was trying to be helpful. But all I did was grab and actually cause a jam up of suitcases.
Right.
Because I tried to put it back on and it wasn't in the same place. And I was like, I'm just making a mess of things here. I'm trying to help, but it's just getting messy.
Yeah.
So let's just move away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, like you try to be helpful, but sometimes we can be more of a pain than helpful.
But it's done out of good intention, and
totally.
so it's not... it's not necessarily something to be frowned upon, but if you're stuck in that cycle of doing that all the time, like at least for you, you went through a couple of suitcases and then went, actually,
I'm done.
I'm just leaving this. This wasn't quite how I anticipated it might be.
I didn't get the accolades.
So that's what I sort of talked about in the blog, is that if you're on a rowboat, so you're in a dinghy, like you're actually going to get quite muscly. And so you might get a little bit of admiration, you might get a bit of appreciation from people who you actually get there and you help them. But there'll be some sort of feel-good factor that actually people look at you and go, oh my gosh, this person's got amazing biceps and look at their back muscles, they're just rippling. I mean, we live at the beach. I'm sure there's some people who are like that. They just perch themselves down in the sand and just, maybe with their binoculars and just observe muscles working.
That's what we're observing, eh? Muscles working.
I've never done that myself, just saying. But, so there's that sense. Or maybe you've upgraded a little bit and you're trying to do it a little bit more high tech, so you've actually got a fancy boat, like I was thinking one of those ones that they have in the movies, like in Venice, where they're just kind of like
those really, really cool ones.
Yeah, and there's all this beautiful wood polished, well, not polished, like that glossy wood finish, and just beautiful. And so now you're getting a different kind of accolade. Came in so smooth and so fast. Like, I just didn't even see him coming, and here he was. So, like, for some people, that will be how they get their I don't know what the word is.
Inspiration. Let's go for something like that.
Well, their encouragement. They're expecting to hear, oh wow, from people who they've just swooped in and saved the day. That kind of thing.
Accolades.
Yes, it's a great word. So anything like that, yes, we're trying to help, but actually it's like there's this kickback for us that actually now we're engaging with people and they're grateful to us and we feel good about it. So then I compared that with a lighthouse, and when a lighthouse is built, it's often built on rocky, craggy ground. It's pretty hard work to build this thing. When it's there, a lot of people admire it from a distance, such as yourself. I can't believe you've never been up close to a lighthouse. Oh, wow. I can think of so many that would be beautiful. Cool. Anyway, so people, when there's a lighthouse there, they know it's for a purpose. They know it's there to signal. They watch for the signal, and they know because it's there to kind of go, danger, danger, then people will often go well around it, give it a wide berth. People like me who go to the bottom of lighthouses kind of have to make a special effort to do so, because not many people go and find lighthouses. But when you get to the lighthouse, like whether you get to just stand at the bottom and marvel looking up, or whether you get to climb up inside and go and walk around that ring that they've got by the light, like it's just stunning there, and it really is a beautiful place to be. But there is a strength in that lighthouse that is built into it. It has to be built into it for it to stand through the storms.
Absolutely.
A lighthouse doesn't run around and jump around and try and get people's attention. All it does is it stands there and does its job, and it's up to people how they respond. So when I was thinking about the strength, like the strength of the rippling muscles or the impressiveness of the sleek boat, neither of those stand anything in comparison to the strength of the lighthouse.
Yeah, you're listening to Faith Matters, Maree and Denise on Becoming Unoffendable. You can find her blogs on Facebook. And we're talking lighthouses today. Be the lighthouse. See the danger or be the danger. One of those.
Quite like that. That's that sphere of influence thing.
Yeah.
If you're, as I said, different for trained search and rescue people, but if you're a person out on a dinghy with a cell phone, maybe out of range of the cell phone tower, maybe, you might be helping that person right there, but you don't have the ability to call for help. Perhaps you don't have the ability to let others know of the danger, and your influence is actually quite small. But if you happen to be standing on the end of a peninsula in the wind and the rain and the half-dug drain, you are shining, and people can just look up and look to you and go, oh my gosh, okay, this is the area that we need to be really careful. Because you're shining on, your light is just a signal just to let people know this is where the dangerous bit is, but also perhaps there'll be times where that light actually reveals the details for people where they couldn't see because it's dark. Because you're shining a light, suddenly they've got something that they can see because of what you're doing.
Yeah, you got in here, some people will sail past or view you from a distance. They have their opinions. They may appreciate you or not, but they choose not to draw close. And, we're talking about the lighthouse now as a metaphor, really, and how we are lighthouse to others, or maybe we're overlighting situations and making them too clear for people, Denise. But in your blog, you talk about rescuing people, and what does that mean for us in our lives and being a rescuer. I certainly like to think that in my life I would maybe highlight to people where there could be dangers. But I guess I've learned over time too that people need to travel their own journey and go through their own experiences, because I have my experience of why something might be a danger, and I would want to shine the light on that one. But for someone else, they might completely ignore me in my danger sign, danger, and not want to turn my light off completely so they can't see and be oblivious to what they're doing or where they're heading, and not want to take in what I'm shining on for them to see.
Well, actually, as you're talking, I'm thinking about sometimes because of, like, if you're a person who wants to go out and rescue people, you may have seen some pretty nasty things, and so when you see a situation, your brain naturally jumps to all the dangers and all the things that could happen, and yet the likelihood of those things happening might be quite small. This person might be wearing a life jacket, and they might have taken precautions and done all the right things, and so for them, they're like, there's a danger there, but the chances of it happening are pretty small, so they're willing to take the risk. And yet, for some people who are on high alert all the time, they'll be like, oh my gosh, look where you are.
Danger everywhere, danger.
Yes.
Every turn is dangerous, Their little hearts are beating really fast. And
on your behalf, of course.
Absolutely.
So they'll try and drag you out of that place because they're concerned for you. But it's not actually, you were there with calculated risk, and you needed to be there for whatever reason, wanted to be there for whatever reason, and them trying to drag you out of the area is not actually a welcome intervention.
So we can be a welcoming lighthouse or an unwelcoming one.
Well, I was thinking more about the people who were on the rescue boat just trying to drag you out the water. But yeah, the lighthouse is going to reveal what's the danger in that area to people in the vicinity, because that's the interesting thing with a lighthouse. If you're in a different part of the country, you're not going to see it because it's actually irrelevant. So when you're standing in where you're positioned, just shining wherever you are, there will be certain people that will be drawn to you in that season, that will see your light, see what your signal is, and will respond to it.
So sometimes that's talking about, we could see that in the view of how we talk about the world and everything that's happening out there, and we're not living in the different parts of the world where things are happening, and so we don't really know what's happening in the moment, but we do back here and how it's affecting us, and we'll have opinions around that, but actually our moment is very different from the moment that the person is experiencing in the place where it is really happening.
Yes.
And so we might want to shine some things that we know, but actually have no reference to the people that are experiencing what they're going through. So we can have opinions and we can think that we know how it is for other people, but unless we're in their situation, we don't really know what's happening for them.
Yeah. So I guess as we neared the end of the blog, I went into the area of, if you have been a rescue boat and you are actually trying to take a step back and just be who you are and shine your light and allow people to respond in the way that they choose to respond, what's actually going to happen is some of those people that you were chasing after, they're not necessarily going to start drawing close. You were the one chasing them down. They were never actually chasing you. And so you might have been in their company a lot and you thought that you had something there, but actually when they have the choice, they actually choose not to engage. They actually choose to keep their distance. They choose to keep doing their thing. And now that you've changed role, now that you're no longer their rescuer, well, they find someone else to take that spot.
When I did my Bachelor of Counselling way back in the day, one of the wisest things I learnt really at that time was around boundaries, and I didn't understand what boundaries actually meant for me in my life. So because of where I came from and a lot of trauma in there, I had a lot of friends who had trauma, so a lot of my relationships were based around traumatic events, and it wouldn't be uncommon for me to get a phone call and somebody ringing up and going, I need you to come and get me, and I need to get out of here, or whatever it might be that was going on in their world, and I would drop everything and I would be there for that person. And it took me a while to realise that actually, when I did get there, that I'd be either entering in on an argument that I didn't need to be around. The person was quite safe. They didn't actually need me, but camaraderie, they needed somebody there to kind of back them, and support them in what they were going through. And so I ended up in messy situations that I really didn't want to be in. And were difficult for me to negotiate through, because I wasn't a part of what was going on, but I had been invited in. And so I learnt that, a lot of my energy, a lot of my time, and a lot of my frustration was coming from helping others that actually weren't really wanting my help. They were wanting a comrade. Is that the word?
Comrade, yeah.
Their comrade there to support them, but not actually to steer them away from the danger, or make it more to see, allow them to see how dangerous it was, at the situation that they were facing or were in. And so I was the one that actually would end up depleted of energy, and I would think over things, and it would take a lot of my energy and space and time up that around something that really had nothing to do with me. So I learnt over time that boundaries are a good thing. They're to keep me safe and others safe, and I started putting them in my life and not running off every time I got a phone call from somebody who needed my help. I would more or less ask the questions, are you safe? Is it, are you okay?
Wow.
Yeah. So it became more important to know that that person was in a safe environment rather than going in and being a part of their raru, which was detrimental to me. I could, in that moment, ascertain, is this something I really needed to go and help somebody with, or call other people to help me to help this person? Or was it something we could come back to? Let's give it some time and space and have a conversation around it, in a few hours' time or something. And so I learnt not to react to every little thing that a person said to me as though I was the hero coming in saving the day.
Which can take some adjustment, because I guess over time did they stop calling?
Oh yeah, I don't have those friends anymore, Denise. Our worlds don't even match anymore, because when we have drama, we can be built for drama, and we continue to want drama. And if we don't understand how the body works and how we can set ourselves up and gear ourselves up to want to have something happen for us to feel like we're even alive in life, that anything amazing is happening around us, so we can cause things to happen. Just to get that reaction in life. And so I learnt as I moved away from trauma as such and others' trauma, other people's trauma, life took on a different placing. It became more peaceful for me, which was hard to negotiate too, because when you've had chaos, peace is an unusual feeling. It kind of feels weird. Like, nothing's happening, and you've got to sit in that nothing happening and learn to be at peace with yourself in that, and not then go out and have something happen because you need some chaos in your life.
Yeah. With all the travel that I was doing the last couple of years, I've sort of had that, even coming back, and I've been on a trip and we've been moving every day or two for a long time, and then I come home and I'm just at home for days and days and days, and I was just like, this is so weird, because I can remember just standing in the living room one of the times I got back and just turning in a circle and just going, wow, just so empty. And I wanted to go on to the next thing. It's like, no, this is the next thing.
I get this so much.
Get used to it.
Yeah, it's a hard place to be, to challenge ourselves and reset. First, you have to recognise you need the resetting, because I lived my life for so long on the edge, always having something happen. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? When your system is geared up for that, and you just don't even recognise it. You just live this constant battle out.
Actually, you have to rejig to be able to cope with that too. Like when things start happening, I remember going on a tour. I naturally enjoy downtime, and I was with a tour group a number of years ago, and it just got a few days in, and I was just over people. And I had this roommate who, I knew of her, but I didn't know her well, and she was quite chatty, which was great the majority of the time, but this particular evening I was absolutely over it. And so I went into the bathroom in our room and I just said, I'm going to go have a bath. I was like, that'll take a long time. I can just sit there quietly. And then she's kind of like knocking on the door, it's time for us to go down for dinner. Are you coming? I was like, well, no, I'm still in the bath, but you go. And, I'll come down soonish.
I'm hearing you.
So she went down, and so I slowly got ready. And so as everyone else was finishing dinner, I kind of turned up, and it was a buffet place. So I just went and got myself the food that was left. Like, to be fair, there wasn't a lot there, but I got it. And a lot of people by this time were leaving a table. So there was this table that was empty, and then there was a table that still had a bunch from our tour group all sitting there chatting together. And I went and I sat at the empty table because I'm quite a friendly person.
She is.
And I had my back to the ones who were behind me talking, but I was listening, and it was fine. And I thought, come on, Denise, like, you need to actually engage a little bit. And I turned around and I felt my stress levels go up. I was like, whoa. So I turned back to the empty table and I felt them go down. And I was just like, it's just too much tonight to engage and talk with people. So I just went with that, and I went back up to the room after dinner, and I think by then the lady had got the idea that I was in for a quiet evening. So we didn't have quite so much chatting. But I woke up the next morning, it was like a switch had flicked. It was like, oh, well, now I'm ready for people. And my brain, because it had had that decompression moment, it was like, right. And from that point on, I was completely in there engaging. I had turned a corner and off I went, and it was great. But I needed to flick a switch in the other direction just to pick up the pace a little bit, because it was just faster than my usual.
Yeah, and that's, those are skills we learn, because when we get overloaded, and if you'd kept in that situation, I wonder what would have happened.
Well, once I flick, it's fine, because your brain recalibrates and goes, okay, so we're setting out at this pace, we can do that. But once it knows what it's in for, it can kind of do the job.
If you had carried on, though, like if you had engaged, how do you think that would have worked out for you?
Oh, that night? I just really wasn't capable of it. Like, it would have been pushing and it would have been stressful. Maybe I would have still flicked the switch overnight, I don't know. But yeah, it was too much. I was getting cranky. And I know when I get cranky, like, it's not my normal. So if I am grumpy and snappy and those things, it's time for me to just dial down a little bit.
Yeah, so we need to know our limits on what we can give and what we can give out from ourselves, and not be drawn into, just because somebody wants to engage with them, that we do it when it's detrimental to us.
To be fair in saying that, when I had little kids, I had to be on all the time. And I was grumpy for years because there was no chance to stop. And I actually everyone described me as grumpy. I was just a grumpy cow for years. Until finally.
I get it.
And so, like, if you're in that space, like, your brain just knows that it has to keep going. But actually, I reached burnout in 2007. I hit burnout, and I didn't know that I'd hit that point until I got there. And now I'm just like, if I see people with signs of that, I'm just like, honestly, just stop now before you get to that point, because you can't sustain that forever. And so what would I've done if I'd pushed myself that night? I probably would have pushed myself to a point of exhaustion that was beyond what I needed to. I could have done it, but it probably wasn't that great for me.
And that's what it's like, I guess, when we go and help people. We might not be working on all cylinders in that moment and may not be effective for them. So allowing ourselves time and space before we react, before we jump into something, Certainly we can be the lighthouse for people, and we can show where the danger is. But, also, as a lighthouse doesn't move, sometimes we don't move either. Sometimes we've just got to stand still and allow a person to walk through their own journey.
Yeah.
Not be the one who picks up the pieces all the time. It can be exhausting. Like if that's how you do life, and it works for you, that's fine. But I would challenge that at some point you need to give back to self. You need to be inputting into you, because otherwise it just becomes about everyone else's problems.
Well, that's why I differentiated between being a rescue boat, being Joe Blogg's dinghy rower, versus somebody who's trained, who actually has a team alongside them.
The muscle man.
I think dinghy rower is less, well, maybe more descriptive, maybe less descriptive, who knows. But yeah, if you've got a team alongside you and you've got the opportunity to step out when you need to, all those things. Like all of us have moments, whether you're in search and rescue, whether you're just helping your neighbour, we'll all have times where we're extended beyond what's comfortable for us. And that's healthy and important, that we can step out of our own zone just to be a support in an emergency sort of a situation. But let's not spend all our energy racing backwards and forwards trying to drag everyone out of their issues. More about making ourselves feel good than about helping them in the first place.
There we go. We've been talking lighthouses and becoming unoffendable today, and maybe you want to just see where your light is shining, what you're shining your light on, and how you are there for others. Maybe it's time you were there for yourself even.
Maybe if you're living around rocks and you think that, you've been spending all your time trying to rescue people from the rocks, perhaps there's actually been a building of strength in you that actually now you're becoming like a signpost, like a lighthouse that can kind of warn other people of what's in this area, what it looks like to live here, and keep them safe that way, a different way of doing it.
Yeah, maybe you don't have to do the emotional running to help, but more the logical of, showing, like you say, where the dangers are. So thank you, Denise, for being a lighthouse directive for us today, shining your light on all those rocky little places and rippling mussels. And
speaking of rippling mussels, who walks in but a man?
Hey, Pastor.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, there you go. You heard it here on Faith Matters, becoming unoffendable. We won't be offended by that at all.
You've been listening to a Faith Matters podcast. If you have questions, email us on faithmatters98.1fm@gmail.com.